Hey YouTube, Kurt here. There's a Bible passage in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 17 that says, "Pray without ceasing." Now, I remember when people would quote that passage behind the pulpits, or they would share that passage at a Bible study, I would have a question in the back of my head: what does it mean to pray without ceasing? I mean, is that even possible? Today, we're going to answer that question. Stay tuned. You know, part of the reason why I believe it was so difficult for me to grasp this understanding of praying without ceasing had to do because I knew what my prayer life was like when I was asking those questions. You see, when I would pray, it would be very short, and it wasn't this continuous experience. Rather, I would be praying sporadically throughout the day, and it would only be during times when I need something. So I would pray when I would wake up in the morning, just so I can have this peace of mind knowing that I'm able to check off or cross off from my list that I had prayed in the morning. Or I would pray before I would eat a meal, just a quick blessing for the food. Or I'd pray before I take a test so that God can give me this special blessing, right? Because I didn't study the last few nights in preparation for the test. So my prayer life was a very weak one. And it wasn't this continuous prayer experience that Paul seems to call us to in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 17. Hey guys, I just want to give you a glimpse of the view that I have on this hike that I'm taking. It's one of my favorite places to be, where I could just meditate and spend time with God. But I just want to give you guys a quick look at what I'm looking at right now. Alright, so what does it mean to pray without ceasing? Praying without ceasing means to have this continuous connection with God. It does not mean that you have to take the form of prayer all the time, where you're on your knees with your head bowed, your eyes closed, constantly praying to God 24/7. That's not what praying without ceasing means. But it means that you should always keep that connection with God, that open communication with God. When I think about praying without ceasing, I cannot help but think about Enoch. You know, Enoch had a very special place. I should not say he has a special place in the heart of God. And we know that because Enoch had the privilege of being taken up straight to heaven without seeing death. He was translated. But you know what's interesting? When you read through the Bible, you will find very little said about Enoch. But there is one thing that really stuck out to me, and that is the Bible says in the book of Genesis that Enoch walked with God. And you know, I believe that this walking that Enoch had with God was a very pleasurable experience. It was not an awkward walk. Maybe you have had that experience where you walked with someone and it was awkward, right? Perhaps you had to go somewhere, and it so happened that the person that's walking next to you had to go to the same place and has to take the same route as you. In those type of experiences, it could be very awkward. But I know that the walking that Enoch had with God was not awkward, because in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 5 it says that Enoch had this testimony that he pleased God. And that was the experience that he had before he was translated. So Enoch and God, when they would walk together, their conversation with each other was very pleasurable. It was a delight. And in fact, it is true that Enoch delighted in talking to God. He always wanted to have God with him throughout his entire day. And friends, I believe that's what it really means for us to have or to pray without ceasing. It's just like if you find someone special in your life, right? You think of some of you that are married, or some of you that are in a relationship with somebody. Isn't it true that that person that you like, or that person that you love, you always want to talk with them, right? You're always trying to find ways to communicate with them. You want to talk with them on the phone. You want to send them a text message. Maybe some of you are into this. You want to write them a letter, or you just want to be in their presence. You want to talk with them. Why is it that you want to do that? The reason why is because you love that person. That person is likable. And my friends, I'm going to tell you this, that in order for us to have the experience of praying without ceasing, we must first come to a point where we fall in love with God. And that can only come with us making the effort to get to know Him